I never thought I'd feel such a mix of humiliation, anger, and disbelief all at once. My name is Ethan, and I had always believed my wife Hannah loved and respected me. She was beautiful, intelligent, and in public, she carried herself with a confidence and charm that made people admire her. I loved her for it, but sometimes the very charm that draws people in can hide the cracks beneath the surface. Cracks I was about to see in the most public and shocking way imaginable. It happened last Friday at a corporate gala in the grand ballroom of the Hilton in downtown Columbus, an event I had reluctantly attended with her. The room was filled with laughter, sparkling lights, and the usual display of power and influence. I expected small talk, polite smiles, and the occasional toast. What I didn't expect was for Hannah to completely humiliate me in front of everyone I knew. And some people I didn't. I had just stepped away to grab a drink when I noticed her leaning closer to her boss, Mr. Harrison. At first, I thought it was innocent, perhaps even friendly. But the way she laughed, the way her hand lingered on his arm, and the subtle tilt of her body sent a chill down my spine. And then it happened. In a voice loud enough for nearby colleagues to hear, she said, "Ethan just doesn't fulfill me the way I need." My heart stopped. The words were pointed, deliberate, and aimed to wound me publicly. I froze for a moment, trying to process what I had just heard. My mind raced. Did she really say that? In front of all these people? And worse, she was sitting on his lap, smiling as if this were some kind of joke. My stomach twisted in disbelief and anger. The laughter of nearby co-workers mixed with my own disbelief, echoing in my ears. For a second, I felt invisible, erased, and mocked all at once. I didn't confront her immediately. My instincts, sharpened over years of dealing with betrayal and deception in my own life, told me to observe first. I watched as she adjusted herself, her eyes flicking briefly toward me with a hint of mischief. She expected me to react, to yell, to create a scene, but I didn't. I stayed silent, letting the weight of her actions settle on her. Sometimes the calmest response speaks louder than any outburst. I stayed by the edge of the room, heart pounding, fists clenched. Yet my voice remained steady when I finally approached her. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. Instead, I let my eyes do the talking, giving her a clear message. I saw everything, and I understood every intention behind her actions. Hannah's smile faltered the moment our eyes met. She had expected shock, perhaps even embarrassment. But not the quiet, controlled anger I carried like a shield. The guests continued their chatter around us, oblivious to the storm brewing between us. I could feel the tension building, not just in me, but in her as well. The public display, the humiliation, the audacity of sitting on her boss's lap while openly insulting me. It all had consequences she had not anticipated. For a moment, she hesitated, unsure whether to continue her charade or retreat. I let that hesitation stretch long and uncomfortable until she finally shifted away from Mr. Harrison. A subtle recognition in her eyes that she had miscalculated. Later that evening, back at our house on Pinecrest Drive, the weight of what had happened didn't disappear. Hannah tried to laugh it off, brushing it aside as a joke, as if words spoken so publicly could be erased with a casual shrug, but I didn't buy it. I knew the truth. The truth was in her tone, in the way she avoided my gaze, in the lingering tension that filled the room. Her actions had exposed a side of her I hadn't seen before, a side that craved validation, control, and perhaps a thrill at the expense of our marriage. Over the next few days, I observed her carefully. Every word, every glance, every casual touch was filtered through the lens of what I had witnessed. I realized something crucial. People reveal themselves in their actions, often more honestly than in their words. Hannah had chosen to humiliate me publicly, to assert her desires in a space meant for professional decorum. And in doing so, she had shown me the boundaries she was willing to cross, the respect she was willing to discard. For the first time in years, I felt clarity. The anger and hurt were undeniable, but they were accompanied by a strange sense of liberation. I understood exactly who she was, what she valued, and what I would no longer tolerate. This wasn't just a betrayal of trust. It was a revelation of character. And in that revelation, I found the power to act, not out of revenge, but out of self-respect, and an unwavering commitment to boundaries that I would no longer compromise. The following week, our home was filled with a quiet tension I had never experienced before. Hannah moved around cautiously, aware that the arrogance she had displayed at the party no longer had a place. Her confidence, once bold and untouchable, was tempered by a subtle shame. I, on the other hand, felt a calm resolve, a clear understanding of my worth, my boundaries, and what I would no longer accept in my marriage. One evening, she finally attempted a conversation, her voice soft and tentative. "Ethan, I didn't mean for it to sound like that," she admitted, avoiding my gaze. I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I let her words linger in the air, allowing the weight of her actions to fully register. She had tried to assert power publicly, to embarrass me, to seek attention elsewhere. But now, confronted with the consequences of her choices, she had to face reality. Over the days that followed, our interactions were careful, measured, and deliberate. I didn't provoke her. I didn't dramatize, and I didn't plead. Instead, I let her behavior reflect the respect, or lack thereof, she had shown. It was a test of character, both hers and mine. And I discovered something important. People reveal themselves through actions, and the way they respond to boundaries tells you everything you need to know. By the end of that week, a subtle shift had occurred. Hannah approached me differently, with humility and a newfound awareness. She no longer attempted the careless flirtations or public humiliations. Instead, she spoke with caution, acted with respect, and carried herself in a way that reflected the lessons she had learned the hard way. It wasn't about forgiveness. It was about acknowledgement, accountability, and recognition of the trust she had broken. Looking back, I realized the experience had changed both of us. I didn't need to raise my voice or retaliate with drama. My calm, unwavering stance had shaken her more effectively than any confrontation ever could. The party had been a public display of her recklessness, but the aftermath revealed something far more powerful: clarity. I understood who she truly was, what she valued, and the boundaries I would never compromise. Hannah had attempted to humiliate me, but in the process, she had revealed the truth about herself, and I had found strength, clarity, and self-respect in response. In the end, the lesson was undeniable. Actions speak louder than words. Public humiliation reveals character, and respect is a currency that cannot be taken for granted. Hannah had learned it the hard way. And I, in witnessing it all, found a renewed sense of who I am, what I will tolerate, and the kind of love and loyalty that I deserve.